You don't have an anger problem, you have a control problem. Every time you get triggered, you just handed your power to someone who doesn't deserve to even exist in your mental space. But here's the truth nobody tells you. You can reach a level where nothing shakes you. No insults, no disrespect, no nonsense. Absolute emotional immunity. If you're serious about becoming mentally unshakable, stop watching passively. Apply this. And if this mindset resonates with you, make sure you stay locked in, because this is how you separate yourself from everyone else. Emotional control is often misunderstood as suppression, but in reality, it's a form of power. Suppression means you feel something and force it down, pretending it doesn't exist, which eventually builds pressure and explodes later. Control, on the other hand, means you fully recognize what you're feeling, but you choose how to respond instead of reacting automatically. That distinction is everything. When someone says something disrespectful or tries to provoke you, the immediate emotional reaction is natural. Anger, irritation, or frustration can arise instantly. But emotional control is the ability to pause in that exact moment and decide, is this worth my energy? Instead of letting the emotion dictate your behavior, you take command of it. That pause is where power lives. People who lack emotional control are predictable. They react quickly, speak impulsively, and often regret it later. This makes them easy to manipulate because anyone can push their buttons and control their actions. But someone with emotional control becomes unreadable and unshakable. They don't give others that access. It's also important to understand that controlling your emotions doesn't make you weak or passive. It actually makes you more effective. You think clearer, respond smarter, and maintain your dignity in situations where others lose theirs. You're not ignoring your emotions, you're mastering them. Over time, this ability builds confidence because you know nothing external can easily disrupt your internal state. That's real strength. Not loud reactions, not aggression, but quiet, deliberate control over how you think, feel, and act in any situation. Anger is often misunderstood as a response to external situations, but in most cases, it's actually a reaction to a wounded ego rather than a real threat. When someone disrespects you, ignores you, or challenges you, the emotional spike you feel isn't because you're in danger. It's because your sense of identity feels attacked. Your ego steps in and says, I shouldn't be treated this way, and that's what fuels the anger. The problem is the ego constantly seeks validation. It wants to be right, to be respected, to be acknowledged at all times. So when reality doesn't match those expectations, frustration builds. But if you look at the situation objectively, most of these moments don't actually affect your life in any meaningful way. A comment, a tone, or someone's opinion doesn't change your goals, your progress, or your future. Yet your reaction makes it feel like it does. This is where awareness becomes powerful. When you start recognizing that your anger is coming from your ego being challenged, not from a real threat, you gain control. Instead of reacting, you can step back and think, is this actually harming me or just my pride? Most of the time, it's just pride. Once you detach your identity from other people's opinions, anger loses its grip. You stop needing to prove yourself in every situation. You stop reacting to every small trigger. And that's when you begin to operate with clarity and calmness instead of being controlled by emotional impulses. Most people don't wake up thinking about how to ruin your day or bring you down. The reality is the majority of human behavior is driven by internal struggles. Stress, insecurity, frustration, lack of discipline, not some calculated plan to harm you. When someone is rude, dismissive, or disrespectful, it usually says more about what they're dealing with internally than anything about you. People who feel small try to appear big. People who lack control in their own lives often try to control others. Someone who is frustrated with their own lack of progress might project that negativity outward. Instead of taking responsibility, they offload their emotions onto whoever is in front of them. And if you happen to be there, you become the target, not because you deserve it, but because you're available. Understanding this changes everything. When you stop assuming that people are attacking you personally, you stop reacting emotionally. You start observing instead. You see patterns, how certain individuals behave under pressure, how they speak when they feel threatened, how they act when they lack confidence. It becomes predictable. This awareness creates a level of emotional distance. Instead of feeling offended, you almost feel indifferent, even analytical. You realize that reacting to someone's weakness by becoming emotional yourself only lowers you to the same level. But when you stay calm, you maintain control of the situation. In the end, recognizing that most behavior comes from weakness, not intention, allows you to stay grounded, focused, and unaffected. You stop taking things personally, and that alone removes a huge amount of unnecessary anger from your life. Your attention is your most valuable currency, and most people spend it carelessly without realizing the cost. Every time something small bothers you, someone's comment, a bit of disrespect, an online opinion, you are paying with your focus. And focus is directly tied to progress. Where your attention goes, your energy follows. And where your energy goes, your results are shaped. The problem is, the world is designed to steal your attention. People will test you, provoke you, or try to pull you into unnecessary situations. Not always intentionally, but constantly. If you react to everything, you become scattered. Your mind is no longer working for you. It's responding to everything around you. That's a losing position. High-level individuals understand this deeply. They don't engage with everything. They don't respond to every message, every insult, or every distraction. They are selective. They guard their attention like it's a limited resource, because it is. Once a moment is gone, you don't get it back. When you treat your attention as currency, you start asking better questions. Is this worth my time? Does this move me forward? If the answer is no, you let it go instantly. No emotional investment, no overthinking, no reaction. This mindset creates a powerful shift. Instead of being pulled in every direction, you become focused and intentional. You choose where your mind goes rather than letting others decide for you. And that's where real control begins. Not in forcing the world to behave differently, but in deciding what deserves access to your attention in the first place. Detachment is not about becoming cold or emotionless. It's about creating space between what happens and how you respond to it. When you're attached to every outcome, every opinion, and every interaction, you become reactive. Your mood rises and falls based on what others say or do. That's instability. Detachment removes that volatility and replaces it with clarity. When you're detached, you stop taking things personally. You see situations for what they are, not what your emotions make them seem. Someone criticizes you. Instead of instantly reacting, you evaluate, is there truth in it? Is it useful? If yes, you learn. If not, you discard it. No emotional disturbance, no wasted energy. Detachment also gives you dominance in any situation because you're no longer predictable. Most people operate on impulse. They react quickly, speak emotionally, and reveal exactly how they feel. But when you're detached, you don't give that away. You observe more than you speak. You respond with intention, not impulse. That makes you harder to manipulate and much more respected. It also allows you to make better decisions. Emotional attachment clouds judgment. It makes you overreact, overthink, and sometimes act against your own best interest. Detachment clears that fog. You see the situation as it is, not as you fear or hope it to be. In the end, detachment isn't weakness, it's control. It allows you to stay calm under pressure, think clearly in chaos, and maintain your position no matter what's happening around you. Discipline over emotions is what builds real mental strength. Not motivation, not temporary bursts of control, but consistent, repeated choice. Anyone can stay calm when things are easy. The real test is when you're provoked, disrespected, or under pressure. That's where discipline shows up. Emotions are automatic. You don't choose to feel anger, frustration, or irritation. It happens instantly. But what you do next is a decision. Most people skip that step. They feel something and immediately act on it. That's not strength, that's lack of control. Discipline is the ability to feel everything and still choose the response that benefits you the most. At first, this takes effort. You have to consciously stop yourself. You have to pause, hold back words, and resist reacting. It feels unnatural because you're going against your default behavior. But every time you do it, you reinforce control. You're training your mind to follow your command instead of your impulses. Over time, this becomes your standard. Situations that used to trigger you won't have the same effect. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. Your emotional baseline becomes stable. You don't spike up in anger or drop into frustration as easily. This kind of discipline also creates confidence. You know that no matter what happens, you won't lose control. You won't say something you regret or act in a way that weakens your position. That's real power, when your emotions don't control you, but instead they follow your lead. Reacting emotionally gives control to others instantly, whether you realize it or not. The moment someone can predict your reaction, they can influence your behavior. If they know a certain comment will make you angry, they can use it. If they know ignoring you will frustrate you, they can repeat it. Your reactions become buttons, and anyone who understands them can press them whenever they want. Most people don't see this happening. They think they're just expressing themselves or standing up for themselves. But in reality, they're being pulled into situations they didn't choose. The other person sets the tone, triggers the response, and suddenly you're no longer in control. You're following their lead. When you react emotionally, you also lose clarity. Anger clouds your thinking. You say things you didn't plan to say, make decisions you wouldn't normally make, and often escalate situations that didn't need escalation. In that state, you're easier to outmaneuver because you're not thinking strategically, you're just responding. On the other hand, when you stay calm, you break that cycle. You become unpredictable. People can't easily figure you out, and that makes it harder for them to manipulate you. You're the one choosing when and how to respond, not being forced into it. This doesn't mean you never respond. It means you respond on your terms. There's a big difference between a controlled response and an emotional reaction. One comes from strength, the other from impulse. Once you understand that your reactions can be used against you, you start guarding them, and that's when you take your control back. Calmness under pressure is what truly separates leaders from followers. Anyone can stay composed when everything is going their way, but when tension rises, when things go wrong, when people start losing control, that's when the difference becomes obvious. Most individuals panic, react emotionally, or look to others for direction. Leaders do the opposite. They slow down, stay grounded, and think clearly. Pressure reveals your default state. If you haven't trained your mind, you'll fall back into impulsive reactions, anger, frustration, fear. But if you've built control, pressure actually sharpens you. Instead of being overwhelmed, you become more focused. While others are reacting, you're assessing. While others are speaking emotionally, you're choosing your words carefully. This calmness creates authority. People naturally look toward the person who isn't shaken, the one who isn't adding to the chaos. Even without saying much, your presence communicates control. And in high-pressure situations, control is influence. It also allows you to make better decisions. When emotions take over, judgment becomes distorted. Small problems feel bigger, and quick reactions replace smart thinking. But when you stay calm, you see options others miss. You act with precision instead of panic. This isn't something you're born with. It's built through experience and discipline. You train yourself to stay steady in uncomfortable situations, to breathe, to pause, to think. Over time, what once felt intense becomes manageable. In the end, calmness isn't passive. It's powerful. It keeps you in control when others lose it, and that's what puts you in a position to lead, not follow. At the end of the day, this all comes down to one simple truth. Peace is power. Not loud dominance, not emotional outbursts, not proving yourself to every person who crosses your path. Real power is when nothing outside of you can shake what's inside of you. That's the level you should be aiming for. You don't win by reacting. You don't win by getting angry. You don't win by letting small people pull you into small situations. You win by staying focused, staying disciplined, and staying in control no matter what's happening around you. That's how you separate yourself. Think about it. Every time you stay calm when others expect a reaction, you gain an advantage. Every time you ignore nonsense that would distract the average person, you move forward while they stay stuck. Every time you choose control over impulse, you build a mindset that very few people will ever have. This is how you become unbothered, not by avoiding the world, but by mastering yourself within it. You don't need silence around you. You create silence within you. You don't need respect from everyone. You command it through your presence. So from this point forward, decide who's in control. Is it going to be every random opinion, every disrespectful comment, every minor inconvenience, or is it going to be you? Because once you truly take control of your emotions, nothing can stop you. And that's when you become untouchable.